Hey everyone, how's everybody
Hey.
doing? You got Gary and Hannah here at the Eye Opener Society, and tonight is a special night because we are doing a poolside
Poolside
podcast.
Podcast.
Man, this is so great. Listen, let us try and put the reasoning for this together. One, starting today, which is June 30th, actually 2023. Uh, I am on vacation. First day of vacation. Actually, I work today, but I'm off, so this is the start of the vacation. So means a lot to me because I've been busting my ass for a while now, and we wanted to get some podcasts out to everybody.
I'm salty because I work, so.
Yeah, I do feel bad for you. I mean, it's the Achilles heel of everybody.
Yeah.
We have to work, and so we're putting this podcast together. We're doing it over Facebook. We're doing it over YouTube. Just getting the podcast out there. So a few things. We are outside in our backyard, right by the pool. We were going to do it from inside the pool, but it is nighttime and it's still for
It's a
June.
little bit
It's
chilly.
still cool. It really is.
Yeah.
And the air quality. I mean, I don't know where everybody lives, but we're in Pennsylvania and we're affected with the air quality from the Canadian fires still. So my voice is not doing really too well either. So either way, we're going to put podcasts together. So you're probably going to hear background noise like traffic, airplanes, birds. I mean, the whole gamut of whatever is outside because we are doing this outdoors in our backyard. So anybody joins us tonight, thank you and welcome. We are not doing this over wisdom just because the logistics of it, because again, we had to drag all the equipment outside. So I still want to give the cheap plug to wisdom. If you go download wisdom on Apple Play stores or the Google for Android, it's a wisdom app. It's great for podcasters or wannabe podcasters or just people that just want to listen because guess what's happening? And you notice a lot of podcasts are merging up and getting more difficult to get our show across it. We were very big on Pandora.
We were.
And for some reason, we can't get the show on Pandora right now because they're merging up. Spotify, too, supposedly went away. And it's all being merged with Sirius XM. My hosting platform right now, for whatever reason, I guess they can't get the licenses because you got to re-sign a license, and they just dropped it completely. So it's limiting our market. That's why we're doing different things to try and keep people, engaged in this. So we're going to be on the podcast on whatever your favorite podcast platform is right now. We're also on Audio Boom. Just search Eye Opener Society. We're on Facebook. We are on YouTube at Eye Opener Society as well. Before we jump into the show, I just wanted to give a really strong shout out to Elaine from Arcane Oracle.
Yes.
All right. And I also want to give a shout out to Angelika Matev. Thank her very much for being on the show and thanking Elaine for introducing us and getting us all connected. The two of them don't know it yet, but they're going to go on one of our future podcasts all together, and we're going to have a really good discussion. I don't want to give away what it is yet because they don't know what it is, and I still want to reach out to them and make sure that they can do it. But definitely go and check them out. There's going to be links on the bottom of everything, so check them out because they're really, really great people, and I think a lot of this is going to tie in. Our talk tonight is going to tie into a lot of stuff that we want to do in the future as well.
Yes.
So I want to jump into this, and I want to jump into this in I don't know, kind of open talk. The reason we were doing this tonight, really like this outdoors, you and I have been sitting down a few times at night.
Yeah.
And we just have kind of like heart-to-heart talks or just random talks. We sit, we chill underneath the stars, and we have really good conversations.
We do.
And I just thought it'd be nice to kind of replicate that and bring it to the audience because deep, meaningful conversation means a lot to me.
Me too.
Yeah, and the fact that we get along like that and we can actually converse, it's nice. And I think our audience should be open to that too.
Yeah.
Just kind of like a regular basis, like you and I just sit back under the stars like we normally do, but actually make a podcast out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't have much more. I do want to get into the show, but did you want to bring anything up before we get into the topics?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Just viewer discretion. We are over the age of 21.
Yeah, that we are.
We do not condone smoking or tobacco use in any way or, drinking alcohol.
Right.
If you do, please drink and smoke responsibly.
That's all. And the only reason we're doing that is because we are going live, and
we don't want YouTube or Facebook to
say anything. But we are smoking a cigar tonight, like we normally do. So it's on live, and I don't care. But that's just a disclaimer. So it's a nasty habit. Don't do it. Would you like a puff?
Yes.
All right. So tonight I want to talk about kind of science, the metaphysical, and I also want to talk about kind of on the same subject, just like real life, because there's a couple things that brought me to this subject. One, last night with my other job that I went to, there was a conversation. It was I don't know, it was kind of like a film, but it was a discussion, like a panel on nuclear energy. And which is fine. I don't think nuclear energy is bad, but what was really interesting, this is funny, when we were there and there was a sound check and a setup and all that, the film that was going on was, I mean, obviously endorsing nuclear energy.
Yeah.
But it was such a fluff piece. Like, they were literally sitting there saying, you have nothing to worry about. It's only radiation. There's no big deal. The body's used to it. There's radiation in the background.
Yeah.
And all this was true. But however, it was just like the truth, but it was only partial truth. Like, they were saying, oh, it's no big deal. The spent iridium, we just bury it and it's safely buried. And, the radiation diminishes after time.
Yeah.
Failing to mention how long that takes. I mean, I think like humanity will be done by the time, iridium is completely depleted. So I was like reading, I was like, wow, that's just exactly what science is about. It's theory. It's based on a lot of facts.
Yeah.
But no matter what, you could always get another scientist to prove another scientist wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're saying trust the science, you have to ask, well, what science are we trusting? Are you trusting a scientist that's promoting the topic, or are you promoting the one that's against the topic? Because they're going to do their own tests. It's just like statistics. There's a statistic. You take any one topic and have a statistic that shows either yay or nay for it. It just doesn't matter. It always works out that way. So can we really trust the science?
Yeah.
The metaphysical now kind of picks up where science leaves off, where metaphysical is always asking, well, why? They're constantly asking why. But metaphysical is also developed more on the human consciousness, space, time, and all that. Much, much more interesting subject matter that I like. But here's the thing. When it comes to you, I, the audience, everybody else, have to understand that we live in our everyday society, our everyday world, right? And what we feel and what we believe in at that moment is the only thing that matters.
Correct.
So when you have an opposition, such as science, trying to prove you wrong, and then you could look up information from other scientists that says, well, it's actually right. We have to learn to separate things for a while. We have to understand our own basic consciousness, our own well-being, based upon our beliefs, how we feel, and just this is how we develop in life. Like, if you feel strongly about something, really nobody's going to sway it. But here's an interesting point on that. And Hannah and I, this is why we have these conversations. Our last conversations that we were having, we get along well enough to where if you believe in something and I don't, or vice versa, or whatever, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And
we kind of challenge each other. We're like, well, why do you believe that?
Exactly.
Well, I believe this, so this kind of counteracts, and we kind of like maneuver with each other until we kind of come to like a mutual agreement.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way it should be. And we're lacking that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that in the future now, we might have a little podcast based on divide and how humanity is so divisive now. We cannot sit down and have conversations anymore. And I mean, I could take it to so many levels, but it's a conversation for another day. But right now we're just talking science and how science always tries to prove a fact. Now, math and science could explain pretty much anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
So no matter what you believe in, you could find the science that will support you. And then the opposition will always find the science that's going to tear it down. And it's fine for actually have it to the point where it's dividing people.
Yeah.
That's where we need to step aside and say, I don't care really what the science says. If I firmly believe in something and I have some sort of knowledge in this, or even if you don't, if it's something that because we could
you just believe in
believe
your
in it,
soul,
right? It's much like religion. That's why I always push, people saying believe what you want to believe. But at the same time, religion to me is kind of like a cage to the human soul. Uh, but if it's something you believe in and you want to believe in it, regardless of what I say or somebody else says, just believe in it. You don't need to have science trying to prove everything. And I was listening to something today.
Comments.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I was listening to something on YouTube today, just basically on God, and I was saying, can science explain God?
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, a bunch were saying yes, you can, and then there's different takes on it where they wanted to eliminate like kind of the all-knowing God or the all-creating God, like the actual physical God that created the universe, and then it went into more of human consciousness. So there's so many different ways that you can go. So I don't understand really why science wants to always get involved to tear another idea down or to inject itself into everyday society to the point where it aggravates people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't like stepping on toes basically or trying to create controversy just for the sake of creating controversy. But the whole COVID thing that was going on a few years ago, where everybody was saying, oh, trust the science, and they're forcing these vaccines on people. And that's literally forcing vaccines. Again, there are many people that just did not believe in the vaccine. They did not believe it. And here we are, here we are now, years later, and it's starting to come out quietly now, of course, because there's no fear involved. And it's just saying, like, well, those people that didn't have the vaccine are just as strong, have a stronger immune system to this than anything else. And it's coming out. It's out there. The facts are starting to come out. There are a lot of people that just, maybe they just, for the fact that it wasn't well tested, that they weren't going to be a guinea pig, why couldn't we just leave those people alone? Why were we wishing death upon them? Mm-hmm. Why were we doing this kind of nonsense?
It was horrible.
Wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. And
people calling you stupid, or, like you don't care, and everything like that. Like, that was a horrible time.
Mm-hmm.
As a person that's not vaccinated, like the hate that I would receive.
Right.
Or just like the questioning, like, I don't know my explanation to anybody. My belief is my belief, and my choice is my choice. My body, my choice.
Right. Absolutely. And as it should be. Everybody has their beliefs.
And I didn't trust the science. You know what I mean? Exactly. And now look at the science that's coming out now. Mm-hmm. And now the people who, argue with me, send hate to me.
Yeah. You have to look at it that way. You just have to. And it's like, I don't wish harm on anybody that had taken the vaccine.
Me either. Yeah.
More power to you. If you felt that was the best route to go, then great. More power to you. Mm-hmm. I hope you don't get any of the side effects, the bad, deadly ones. I just don't want the divide, the continuous divide, and how an entire country, an entire world just gets so wrapped up into the beliefs where my belief is better than yours.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be. And that's why I was having this kind of open discussion. It wasn't really so much about science itself, because I'm not a scientist in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think you are either, right? Or no. We just,
I like barely
basic layman
stuff.
I
barely passed science, if I'm being real.
Yeah, right. So basic layman stuff we can get, and we can understand that. So does that make scientists better than us? I don't think it should.
No.
I appreciate the work they do. I appreciate the stuff that is proven. But again, you never know. Tomorrow, another scientist could come and
debunk someone completely.
It. Like I always say, E equals MC squared. Hey, listen, we go by that. That is the set in stone until tomorrow somebody else comes up and finds a whole nother equation that completely debunks Einstein's,
I mean, it hasn't happened yet.
And it hasn't happened yet, but you never know. And it could, because there are people that are always working hard to try and prove
And
a different
yeah,
theory.
I admire those people too.
I do too. Yes. Groundbreaking. It really is. And
people
it's
who challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exciting because now you got people that are strong-willed, that are trying to do something different. And then you have, whether it be the scientific community or the medical community,
Yeah.
and they're taking those people and ridiculing them and saying,
Yes.
and you're breaking all the laws because this is what is set in stone and you can't look differently. And I'm not saying all of it, but for the most part, once we have these ideas in place and they're working, and then somebody comes up with a different idea, why are you going against the grain?
Yeah.
It's because we're trying to evolve. We're trying to do better. That's what I think is going on. And we shouldn't be stopped from doing that at all.
I think it's so cool. Side note that you have like this cool little Orby.
Yeah, and that's just a reflection from our camera. So yeah, I do have a nice Orby going on over here. But we when we're talking, evolution too. I mentioned that because I was listening today, because of course I'm at work and I'm thinking only about vacation. So
meanwhile,
here you go.
He gets home early and I'm like working my butt off. And I'm just like, I can't talk right now.
Yeah. And it sucks when you can't talk because I was like, come on, I'm always excited and I always want to share things with you. But it's okay. We're here now and we can share it to the world. But I was thinking, like I said, I was listening to stuff about, the science and God. I was also thinking about us as human beings and just where we're coming from. And if we strip things down spiritually to a very simple basis where we can eliminate all the science, all the mathematics, and if we just sit within our own selves, when we meditate, we're not thinking about the mathematical equations or the science behind it. We're just doing. We're a human being living and experiencing our own consciousness at that moment.
Yeah.
So where do we come from? I mean, when we look back to when spirituality and religion and everything else was forming, and I'm going back, I was starting to think about the pyramids.
Yeah.
Look at the creations we were making, and let's go back. Like, we know really nothing of those people. I mean, we know a lot, but to actually be in that moment, we know nothing of.
Exactly.
But I will tell you one thing. They knew. They knew something now.
Correct. I 100% agree.
Yeah. All of our thoughts, all of our spiritual strengths, our third eyes, our whatever power existed then, and they were very in touch with the whole world was outside of ours. That's why they were so. It wasn't like they were obsessed with death. There were plans laid out for it, and it wasn't anything that was bad. You were moving on into that spiritual realm,
and you were becoming your higher self.
And so I thought about that. I said, wow. And they didn't have like the scientists' labs and everything that we have today and all the modern technology, but yet they put together
rituals.
They put together those pyramids with exact precision and
hieroglyphics,
the writings, and the depths that they went into. Mummification. Exactly.
Like absolutely. That's fascinating.
Absolutely. And they were able to do this. Then I thought, look at us now. Modern times, 2023, here we are. And we have all the technology, all the equipment now. And we are so divided and we are fighting each other, and we have not advanced to the point where we should be in touch with our spiritual selves, our higher selves. There's nothing here anymore. It's when I just think about what was going on then, even though we weren't there, but we can only imagine because of what they left behind. What are we leaving behind?
Exactly.
I feel really like we should have flying cars by now.
Yeah.
But we don't. We don't have that technology. We are building stuff for wars, for death, for killing, and we are doing nothing for ourselves, nothing to help ourselves spiritually, to get together one another, to cure diseases, trust the science, but where is the science? we should be so far advanced right now, which I just don't feel that we are.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we get lost? Where has things, where did things make a turn? Where did we go from that real deep higher self meaning back in ancient Egypt and the start of
Just being
time
materialistic.
to being materialistic? Where did that all start? And when did we start just becoming so 3D
Yeah.
instead of being in that 5D consciousness at all times? We've created so much that is supposed to help us evolve, but
I feel like we've lost our touch.
Please speak, because I think you're hitting the nail around the head.
It's like we're so worried about, making everything convenient for people.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is losing touch of, the culture of life. Perfect example. You go to the grocery store and get your meats.
Mm-hmm.
The culture of, people and evolution is we would go and catch our own food. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything was natural, and now we're just used to convenience and processed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not focusing on the important things. There are scientists out there, like we said, we're not discrediting anybody, but there are scientists out there who are trying to cure these diseases and cure everything like that. But why are we not hearing about it? Why are there no advancements yet? Like, we
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard of a groundbreaking, let's say, this one's going to hit hard for people, but like cancer curing, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, yes, there's radiation, but that's not curing. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people get it back,
Right.
There's diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of these things that we should be focusing on, but we're just so wrapped up in just making everything convenient for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
New technology, cell phones. Like, I'm like
Mm-hmm.
stuck on, there's just so many examples that I just would be here all night listing them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I wish people would just, open their eyes and go back in time and go back in history and start reliving that, because I feel like the more people who start to do that, the more appreciative people will be of the earth and
Mm-hmm.
others around them.
Yeah.
Because, people don't, it's rare that you see people helping out neighbors and stuff anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Very
they
true.
just call this person this,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel like we're a very divided culture, and we're not what we should be.
Yeah, and I could go one step further as far as a divided culture. I can also say that we are just ourselves. That's all we're thinking about. We're walking around as individual people, blocking ourselves out from everybody else. I mean, yeah, there's extroverts and there are people that, you know, get along with other people, but for the most part, it's all the ego, and that's
Yes.
all it is. And it's just me, and it's never what can I do for society? What can I do for the community? It just breaks it down to what can I do for myself? And you're right, everything's just become a matter of convenience for
Yeah.
the sake of convenience, and that's what we're wasting all of our hard-earned energies on. I think there's
And
so
money.
much more. Go ahead, please go
And
for it.
money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, money. Yeah.
But I agree with you, because it's like, and it's gotten so bad since, I feel like, I want to say like 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was so different back when I was a kid. People would pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
This person would know a guy to know a guy, and you would link and just
Mm-hmm.
like rely on your community. And we don't see that much nowadays,
Mm-mm.
you know? And like, big shout out to Amish people, because they
Right.
are
Mm.
still cultural people. They have
Yeah.
their own culture, of course, but they rely on each other. They hunt their own food. They
Mm-hmm.
grow their own food. They are very involved with one another. They benefit
Mm-hmm.
for each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's just me most of the time in, the outside world. And we need to stop that. We
Mm-hmm.
need to depend on each other. We need to do something for each other. Whether it doesn't have to cost money, it can just be, we were talking about this the other
Mm-hmm.
night when we were out here. I was like, it's like telling someone I like your shirt today, or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? our last podcast, I had my sweatshirt on that says "You are enough." I didn't buy that for myself. I bought that for other people. On the back of the sweatshirt, it said, "The world is a better place because you're in it." I
Mm-hmm.
bought that for other people to view when they see me, because I want people to know, because, I could be in front of someone who is just about to break,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they see my sweatshirt and it pushes them through to the end of that day.
Mm-hmm.
They made it that one more day just because they saw that sweatshirt. It's just about doing things for each other. And I'm not saying all the time, because there are people who abuse that.
Right.
Of course,
Mm-hmm.
there are people who do that out there, but just being more involved with the community and complimenting your community and being there, we can just revert back to our old ways instead of just like being so materialistic.
Yes. Well said, Hannah. As always, it is a community that lacks community these days. That's all it is. It's a community of one, the ego, and that's all we're here to serve. Uh,
And competition is a big thing
oh
too.
yes,
Like, my car is better than yours. Like, it doesn't
yeah.
matter. You know
Mm-hmm.
what? Like, I don't care if you're still driving around a 1996 Honda Civic and I'm
Mm-hmm.
driving around a, 2018 car. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to look at you differently. And that's the problem with today's
Mm-hmm.
world. You look at people differently if their ego is smaller than
Yours.
yours. But
Mm-hmm.
truthfully, the people who think their egos, you know, are bigger, are they? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to ask yourself if you are wrapped up in your own ego.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, is it really as big as you think it
Yeah.
is? You really have to self-reflect. That's where self-reflection comes in. Understand that you are important. And yes, you do matter. But you have to work yourself into the bigger picture.
Everyone is equal.
Yeah, we all start out as equal. We're all flesh and
Hmm.
blood. We're all,
This goes back
on
to
the same.
science. We all started
Science.
as cells.
Yeah,
We all
yeah.
started the same.
Yeah, we did. And we all
Our
form the
evolution
same
is
way.
the same.
Yeah,
No
so.
matter, you know, your economic status, no
Hmm.
matter your race, no matter anything, we are all started the same.
Right.
Our evolution is the same.
It is. And, and this brings back the whole racism and everything else. We are the same. And just because we look different, just because we dress different, just because we practice different things within our culture, that don't matter. We all form the same way. We all came from the same place. We're all spirits of the universe, and we must start understanding that. Because when I look at somebody else, I should be seeing myself in that person because
Mm-hmm.
we're all the
The same.
same. Yeah, so very good points made. I and this is where science could take all the stats they want and they can start going against us by saying, well, different cultures are going to see things differently. And uh, again, science can prove everything and it can also
It
disprove
can.
everything. It could go either way depending on how you're doing your equations or on how you're trying to find or figure out the problem.
I was just
Science
talking
will
about
do
this
that.
yesterday.
Oh, were you?
Literally just talking about this yesterday with my mom. We
Mm-hmm.
were talking about how, you know, my you have a child,
Mm-hmm.
and they have these developmental milestones.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, "Oh, well, girls develop more like faster than boys, this." And I just feel like that just needs to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Every person develops differently,
Right.
and there should not be a standardized milestone.
Mm.
You know, there are certain things that, your child should walk by this time. And if
Mm-hmm.
there isn't, there may be something medically wrong. That is scientifically proven.
Mm-hmm.
However, your child saying certain words, your child reciting the alphabet, your child saying, 1 through 10, your child, doing this, it's bullshit to me. Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
stop putting these, what's the word? Like, not stereotypical, but like standardized
Standards.
standards on these children.
Mm-hmm. Because what happens if you don't live up to the standard?
Then your kid's diagnosed with
Mm-hmm.
something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. And I hate to say it, but they push autism on kids
Mm.
so
Yes.
aggressively. In the
Mm-hmm.
past 4 years alone, I've just seen it. Like, I've just seen parents, like, especially just on social media, and sometimes I just close the apps because they're like, yeah, my kid's on the spectrum. Why is your kid on the spectrum?
Mm-hmm.
Because a doctor told you this, because they were 1 point off. There are severe autistic children who actually have this disability.
Right.
I don't like to call it a disability,
Mm-hmm.
but that's another discussion, but just because your child, basically what I'm saying here is, just because your child develops a little bit later and past these standards that, have been set in stone, does not mean that something's wrong with your child. Everyone develops differently.
And these, yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, buddy, but yeah, these standards, again, based on science, based on the math, based on statistics.
Mm-hmm.
And it's grouping people, like you said, into these, your milestone, you haven't reached that yet, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's not right. Yeah, okay, science is, majority of people, most people should develop and do
Mm-hmm.
X at a certain period in their
Yeah.
life. And okay, that's fine. There's a timeline that we could use just as guidance,
Yeah.
but we shouldn't say, "Oh, well, my child didn't hit that milestone. There's something wrong." There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong. There's developmental. We all learn. Like,
We all
there's
learn
things we
differently.
all do. Even now, even as adults, even when we've passed all these
Yeah.
so-called milestones, I could still sit. There's certain things I'll learn instantly.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's stuff I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So does that make me now in a category of, oh, you're left behind? Oh, but here's what happens. There's certain standards. You didn't meet the standard.
So now they want you to go and get all these different tests and stuff like that to figure out what's going on, because obviously something's wrong.
And let's go one further. Here's the magic pill that's going to cure it.
Yep.
And you're going to be stuck on these pills for the rest of your life. And then these pills later on is going to cause side effects. It's going to have you have more problems, which needs more pills.
Yep.
That's science right there. Okay. And again,
hey, Sarah.
Sarah actually came in the room. Hey, what's up, buddy? I didn't tell you this because I didn't really want to have like a moderator tonight. We're just kind of doing the podcast, but I'm glad you're here. For those of you that are listening audibly, whenever you're turning it on, that's Sarah, our moderator. She just joined in on here. So what's up? It's been a while. And I knew you were probably getting ready for your vacation too. So it's good to see you here, though. Yeah, we're talking about science and the metaphysical and everyday life, and how science is basically pushes its way into everybody's life by setting standards and protocols and all that everybody seems to take so seriously. And then again, you could go and find other theories and other scientific methods that will prove the other scientific methods wrong. So that's what's going on tonight.
You know what I want to question?
What's that?
Goes to science, goes in with our topic. These standards, these magic little pills that you're talking about, you think, they think this is like evolution. Like, yep, we created this pill, but where did they get these bases of these pills off of? Did you go back to the Egyptians? Did you go back to, other, like, historical cultures for this, or did you just make it in a lab? Why aren't we taking the information that we do have from historical cultures like the Egyptians and everything like that, and paying attention to how long they lived and how they healed things?
Yeah.
Why aren't we going back to those ways like that? It's like holistic, that we were talking about that.
Exactly. Holistic healing should be completely mainstream right now. It really should be. You're absolutely right. Why are we not going back to these things?
Yep. It's not a time. It's not even a treatment. It's the way to deal with the symptoms or whatever you have. Correct.
Right. Yeah. So again, ladies, I do apologize. I know we're doing the live and we're doing the podcast too as well. But Sarah had mentioned, based on what we're talking about, she says, yeah, a lot of the time it's not even a treatment. It's just a way to deal with the symptoms. That's absolutely right. Again, and that's science. We're going to deal with the symptoms. This is what you're going to do from here. We're not looking at a more holistic approach. We're not looking at diets. We're not looking at nutrition. We're not looking at different types of techniques to train people that are
Mhm.
lacking in something. What we're looking for is that quick fix, that convenience again, and they're shoving the pills right down everybody's throat. I'm against that. I'm completely
Yeah.
against
Does
that.
medicine work?
Yes,
Yes. Yes, it
obviously.
does.
Mm-hmm.
However, was there a better approach?
Mm-hmm.
Was there a more natural approach? Is there a bigger meaning behind why this person is constantly having this certain illness, or
Mm-hmm.
why this person every other so is having the same thing occur? We're
Mm-hmm.
not looking at that bigger picture. We're just looking
Right.
for the quick fix.
The
And I'm
diagnosis. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm not discrediting doctors.
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing their jobs. They are doing what science they learned.
And they're doing what insurance companies are telling them to do as well.
Exactly.
Uh, and that's where I think we failed. Like I said, with evolution and all, and where we should be at and where we're actually at. Again, everything is quick fix. And when it comes to medicine, we have all these now, these minute clinics showing up because everybody just wants to pile into something. For years, we're going to emergency rooms for the smallest thing. It's not even an emergency. And then you're complaining while you're sitting there for 2 and 3 hours. It's because it's not an emergency. So now we have all these minute clinics and we're filling these minute clinics up. So doctors now are forced to look at the problem and immediately fix it. And a lot of times that's with a pill or something. Now it's different in traumatic injuries and all. Hey, let's fix that. But we're talking about problems and diagnosis. We're not taking the bigger picture. We're not using a holistic approach. We're just taking a patient that's complaining of one thing and we're just handing them a quick fix,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to create bigger problems in the long run. Instead of asking, well, why does this person have this? What can we do to change it? Can it be fixed on its own? As many different approaches, but that takes too long. And we, as a lousy society today, we want the quick fix now.
Yeah.
And so we're not seeing that evolution into the holistics as we should be, in my opinion.
And I'm going to throw a curveball in here. To bring metaphysical into this.
Mm-hmm.
Why are people not, when specifically, and I don't want to sound like I'm throwing shade at doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. But we're not, like you said, we're doing the quick fix, so we're not looking at maybe the mental capacity of a person.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Maybe, oh, they're constantly having this pain, but is this pain there?
True.
Mentally, maybe they're overthinking about a small pain and it's making more serious than it is. Why aren't we digging in deeper to the metaphysical side of people to see maybe it's not even physical?
Right.
Because your mental is powerful enough to harm your
Mm-hmm.
physical.
Sure
But
can.
why aren't we taking a look at these people and digging into their metaphysical side of things and helping them heal themselves if they're damaged
Mm-hmm.
spiritually?
Right. Right.
Have we ever taken
Yeah.
a step back and maybe really thought about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's such a difficult thing because again, we got to get now doctors to look at things in a totally different way, going sometimes beyond their beliefs, instead of putting themselves in the shoes of the patient and asking them, what do you believe? Why are you feeling this way? Is there a blockage there? Absolutely. We do our minds are working on different levels, whether we're on the 3D world where we're feeling all the pain of society and all the external factors of our environment, or if we're operating on a 5D level and our physical body is feeling the pain because it wants to be there. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to that. And it's not easy to just throw that to a doctor yet because there's no real training in that.
Mm-hmm.
They're taught, yeah, some cultures do this, some cultures understand that, but to actually take that as a whole, that patient, a whole patient, rather than just the symptom. You're right. You have to look at every single angle sometimes. And I'm fascinated with why we just haven't come that far. I really am.
Yes.
You know, I really think we should be there to the point where holistic healing should have been something so much more now because we were using that in the past.
We were.
And as a matter, and Sarah just brought that up too, about plants that are categorized as weeds, but if prepared properly, they help with inflammation and all sorts of other things. Yeah, and companies calling them weeds, and then the pharmaceuticals wants to kill them. And yeah, Sarah, we get it, and that's absolutely the truth.
I want to learn too. She says she
Yeah,
wants to learn how to utilize what's in our own backyard.
backyard, exactly. And I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of things, and I was looking into dandelions.
I was literally just thinking
Of
that. I
course.
was about to say
Yeah,
dandelions
of
because I
course.
drink a dandelion root tea.
Yeah, I do too. And I will pick them from the yard, clean them off, and I will make tea straight from the yard from them. They're absolutely like the medicinal benefits of a lot of these so-called weeds are amazing, and they do, and they've been used for centuries. There's also, I forget what the actual technical term, but it's called white man's foot. And that grows all over the place too. You can look that up. I forget what the actual name of it is, and it grows all over the place. But it has so many healing properties. The leaves, the
Broadleaf
nectar.
plantain.
Yeah, I believe that if it's white man's foot, yeah, that's exactly it, and that's growing all over right here. I mean, we're outdoors right now, and this stuff is growing all over the place, and has fantastic medicinal purposes. And if it's used correctly, it can.
It's an antioxidant.
There you go. It's an antioxidant. That's
And
for one.
anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor properties.
Yep. So
one more thing,
Sure.
sorry, because this is
All right.
awesome. It also has been shown to boost the immune system and help treat ulcers
Yep.
and fatigue.
Yep. There you go. This is something I wasn't going to really reveal too much because again, this is a podcast for tonight, and I got so many ideas for so many future
Yes.
podcasts. I don't want to start talking about something that we might do later. But nutrition is becoming a thing for me where I am stepping outside the bounds of food and trying to learn the proper way, not just so much the proper way of eating, but a proper way of, hey, in order to achieve the higher self, it bases down to nutrition and what you're putting in your body. What you put in, you get out and all. And I know you made some, and your mother makes comments too, like, you're not eating. Like,
Yeah.
I've been doing the intermittent fasting. I will eat one meal on one day, and then 2 days I fast. I may not completely fast.
You
I
might have a bagel.
Yeah, I might have a bagel, just something to keep, if I feel too, like I'm being drained or, fatigued. But I'm doing this fasting, and I have to say the one thing that has happened to me that I can say honestly from the bottom of my heart, I've become much sharper mentally.
Yeah.
Sharper, and the fog, that brain fog that you have, it's gone. I feel a lot more energetic, and it goes against the big rule of like the more carbs you have and all, the more energetic it's to me. I mean, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just doing this on my own, but to me and how my body's reacting is absolutely amazing. I have more energy. I'm much more focused. I feel awake now at night. Like now, go back, I would say 2 months ago, I'd be in bed because I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And I am wide awake right now. And I feel I can see the entire. The only thing that's not working is this. I'm smoking in bad air quality.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm dying over here.
I know, he dying over here. I'm just like lost my train of thought now. No, but I did want to, because with you, that benefits you, but for me, I don't think I could ever do that. I mean, maybe later on, but right now, I have noticed, and I don't know if it's just because I had a child, because it's been since I've had a son. I eat a lot more. And if I don't eat a lot more, I will physically and mentally feel off. I have to have like full stomach or I just don't feel sharp.
Mm.
When I am full, I get my sharp feeling and I get my motivated feeling like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like right before this podcast, literally 11, we had 11 minutes to go. I'm like scarfed food down and I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like I'm sharp. I'm ready to go. Like I can run a marathon. I'm hit. Like, you know, so it's just so weird. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, and that's science too.
That is.
You're basing that on your biology and my biology.
Yep.
But once you start training yourself on doing something, all of that can change too. So there goes your science on that as well. Yeah, you may be completely different, and maybe even if I start eating and I train myself in a certain way to eat, for the energy, it would happen.
Yeah.
But me, mm-hmm.
Before, baby, if I would eat, you know, standardized lunch, dinner,
Mm-hmm.
2, 6, I would be physically ill. I would be mentally, like you said, groggy,
Mm-hmm.
cloudy. And like I said, I don't know if like I had a C-section, so they changed, you know, they took out my
Yeah.
insides and, you know, maybe they did something. But before that, like I felt what you felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, so there you have the
Evolution.
science, evolution,
Yeah.
biology, it's all there, but not one science. There's not one standardized science because you'll have a lot of scientists and a lot of nutritionalists will say that fasting is great, the greatest thing for you, and then you'll have another sector of scientists and nutritionalists and doctors and everything else
That says fasting is
completely
horrible.
horrible. You
Don't do
shouldn't do
that.
it.
You're going to stunt
Mm-hmm.
this.
Being a vegan is the greatest thing in the world, and then there'll be a bunch of people saying veganism is the worst thing in the world. Eating red meat is great and fantastic. Eating red
Red
meat
meat is
is bad and
horrible.
horrible.
You're going to get high blood pressure.
Yeah. So where do you draw? There is nothing. Go with your gut. Trust how
Come up
you
with
feel.
your own science.
There you go.
Journal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've come up with your own system. You eat
Right.
the one day and then the next 2 days you fast. You know, you have a little snack or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But you have journaled mentally
Right.
what works for your biology.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's what we need to do.
Create your own science for yourself.
Right. Be your own person. Figure things out for yourself. We run so quickly to doctors. We run so quickly to people that we feel have the answers. But who has the best answers? Back when I was in the medical field,
Yourself.
yeah, I always told a patient when they're coming to me with any kind of pain, I was like, I am not you. You know what the pain is. I'm not feeling it. You have to express it to me. This way I feel because, yeah, I don't know how bad the pain is.
Mm-hmm.
Only you do. You're the person that's feeling ill. You need to describe it to me because we need to be in touch with ourselves. So instead of running out like all the time, oh, fix doctors and let's go. Yeah, work on your think things through. Figure out what works best for you.
Yep. And you know, this goes back, I could add on, you know, this goes back to if you figure out what works for you and you get into the system, maybe you go on social media or maybe you have a friend that you something that's really feeling this type of way. Science and you know, something that you created for yourself, maybe you would have this person in your life is having symptoms and you could recommend what works for you. You know, they could switch or something like that. But that goes back to us talking about just being a community again and helping others. You know, my way of, you know, eating might work for somebody. Your way of eating may work for somebody. It's all about figuring it out. Sarah, only you know your body and what it needs. But, you know, after figuring out what your body needs and getting on a certain system and, you know, feeling alive, and you just notice that someone else isn't feeling, you know, they're not feeling 100, you know, to say in like a woke type way, you know, maybe you can help them get them there, give them suggestions. You know, me, when people are like, oh, my kid has this, oh, I'm feeling like this, urgent care is all booked up, my doctors can't get me in. You know what I do? I do some research and I dig into my mind like, oh yeah, I've tried this before. I've tried this natural way of healing before,
Mm-hmm.
and I recommend that
Right.
to them. I don't go, oh, we'll try this urgent care. This one might have openings, I
Yeah.
say, hey, have you tried this? Hey,
Mm-hmm.
have you tried this? And I give suggestions because not only of just, like I said, research, because, yeah, there are some scientists that I trust and everything. Like I said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not discrediting these professionals at all, but I also like to back up the science that I'm suggesting. I have to try it for
Mm-hmm.
myself before I'm just recommending it. I am looking at something, on the dot. I'm like, hey, per this site, and I just kind of give the credit where it's due. I'm not giving the credit to myself like, oh, yeah, but I will make it known like I've tried this and this benefits for me.
Yeah. And that's a good way of working. And it's nice to do the suggestions. And then there are the people that go overboard on that. I'm not going to mention vegans. Oops, did I say that out loud? But if you ever notice, they are the happiest people in the world when they're talking about it on everyone that this is the way to go. Well, understand again, not everybody has the same biology. And you have to understand what's working for
I'm gonna
you
tell you right
may
now,
not
I
work
could
for everybody.
never give up steak.
I can never give it up either. I will not give it up. And quite honestly, my system of eating, when I do eat, I'm actually not eating carbs. I'm not eating pastas. I'm actually going for meats. And that's just simply because that's the way we are designed for, and we always have been. And if we change our systems to start eating other
Veggies and fruit.
things, yeah, vegetables, fruits, it's all natural stuff.
Since we have, moved in, we all, I feel like, eat a lot healthier than we did. You
Yeah,
guys would kind of go out mainly a lot
yeah,
because it was cheaper to buy.
mm-hmm.
I mean, like
Cheaper
cheaper to go out than
right?
to buy. And me and Justin, we would kind of rely on like frozen, processed,
Mm-hmm.
just throw in the oven, throw in the microwave type dinners. Every once in a while I would cook something big, or we'd order a pizza, or we'd order this, or we'd go to fast food or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But now, we maybe get something once a week, if that.
Right.
But now we're doing a meat. We're doing, maybe every once in a while a starch. Like tonight we had, some potatoes. But we're doing a vegetable. We're doing,
Mm-hmm.
healthier substances for our bodies instead of this processed shit.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And Sarah's actually out camping right now, and she's got spotty service. Well, listen, Sarah, we love you. We
We
love
love
you,
y'all.
and we miss you. Enjoy your camping. Have a great time, and thank you for joining us. It's nice to have a little, conversation going there with you. It's really nice to have you on here and talking to us like that.
Yeah, enjoy.
So yeah,
Happy
definitely
holiday.
enjoy. Yeah, happy holiday. Have
I'm
fun.
surprised we're not hearing fireworks. I'm
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of happy,
surprised.
right now.
Well, yeah, I was hoping. I did hear a few earlier.
Yeah, I heard the.
Yeah, so I mean,
But I
I
didn't
don't
want to
know.
implode our.
Yeah, but
It's already bad. Oh, air
and there we
conditioner.
go. Yeah, that was our air conditioner, by the way. I know there was probably a lot of noise around. We don't really have much control over the
Yeah,
noise
we're
out
doing
here.
our best here for y'all.
Yeah, this is our very first
Poolside
poolside podcast,
Podcast.
and it's nice to sit outside the studio. It feels good to
Oh,
be
we
in the
should have lit
open
up the
environment.
pool.
We should have lit up the pool, but I don't think. I mean, I would have had to raise the camera, but
It might have glowed.
it'll get better as we do these.
Yes.
When it gets hotter, especially late August, and so
Trial and error.
we'll be able to do it from inside the pool, and I'm going to work on that for sure. Um, but I want to really reiterate to everybody: be your own selves, be your own doctors. We're not doctors, we're not giving medical advice, but stop overwhelming the medical system. And I think that's the biggest problem, because we're always
Yes.
running to a doctor for any little tiny thing. And we're not looking at the holistic approaches anymore. And we're not doing our own research like
You're
you
not
are.
going digging into your metaphysical and being like,
Mhm.
that I'm constantly having this. Is there something maybe deeper
Mhm.
that I'm not listening?
There you go. Yeah. Do I really need the doctor? Am I really ill? Is there something really wrong? Or am I just looking for another quick fix for something just because I'm not comfortable at the moment? We used to sit and reflect, and we'll sit ourselves and wait until the pain goes away. Meditate and get rid of it and think the
I
stuff
was just about to say that.
away.
If I have a migraine, I try my best before I pop like ibuprofen or a Tylenol
Mhm.
or anything. I'm like, your head doesn't hurt that bad. your head doesn't hurt that bad. I'll go in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, you're going to be all right. It will pass on its own. Just think it out. Think it out.
Mm-hmm.
Push it out. Push it out. And, 8 times out of 10, that works for me. Every once in a while, I'll get those really pain in the eye
Right.
migraines. I'm like, all right, I got to take something. You know what I mean? But other times, I just think deep and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's the stress that you had today. Maybe you're just overwhelmed and your body's not processing it. Meditate, clear out for a little bit. Big thing about science is, I think you said this earlier, it's theory. It comes from the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing basing off of what I just said,
Mm-hmm.
it comes from the mind. It comes from, of course there are tests and everything like that, but how do they run these tests? How do they come up with these tests for these results? It's all in the mind. It's all, if you look back at the bigger picture, it's all coming from metaphysical.
It is, and that's the placebo effect too.
Yes.
Excuse me, air quality is bad out here. I'm smoking a cigar. But the placebo effect is your mind telling your body it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is proven by science. So the placebo effect is real. So healing yourself is real. That's how I look at it.
I do like I was like, after bringing that up, I like kind of like watching those like cliche, like cheesy box like movies about like miracles and people healing themselves in like the movies and stuff, and it just kind of looks back because like it looks cheesy when you're watching it, but you're kind of looking at the bigger picture of the story of the movie, and you're just like, you know what, this was cheesy, but if you're looking at the meaning of the movie that they're trying to come across, that these people they're pushing out an idea in their mind and giving it to an audience to hopefully reach someone saying, are you listening? Are you seeing what I'm trying to tell you all? Like, you can heal yourself. There are, miracles and everything like that. Like, trust in the universe.
Trust in it. And there's documentaries with real people that actually did heal themselves. So it is an actual thing.
We were talking about that last.
We did, yeah. So it's real, and it goes beyond science. It goes beyond the metaphysical. Your mind is connected to the universe, and we can work so many amazing things if we start taking the time to focus and stop running right away to all science all the time. It's there, it's useful, it serves its purpose, it is real. But what's even realer is you, your own mind, your own place, where you belong in this universe and where you belong right here. We're sharing two separate spaces. We're living within two different dimensions, stuck, trapped here in the 3D world. But yet we have a higher consciousness, and we're not reaching that higher consciousness the way we should be. So start taking some time. Learn about yourself. Learn about what makes you feel better. Learn about what makes you tick, and start fixing yourself. And things will start to get better. And I would like to end it on that.
Yes.
Because I think we had a nice little talk.
We did.
And the night is not, even though the air quality is really bad out here, but I'm still enjoying it. It's the first night of my vacation, and I'm going to spend some more time with you, and I'm going to enjoy it. I really am. But I enjoy everybody that's been watching us. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and we got some other things planned. I think we might do this a little bit more outdoors. I'm sorry about all the background noise, but that's what makes it seem more real, to me. So
we're not those, woke podcasters. We're just real. We're coming to you as people.
That's all we are. Every day,
trying to make a difference.
That's it, right? Hopefully you have. That's all we really ask for. We're not experts in any field, but we are experts in living, because we all do that.
Yep.
And we all share, our knowledge. We all share our wisdom, and I think we all learn from each other. So whatever you take away from this, we hope you're taking away something positive, and always be positive. You don't need us to be positive. Be positive for yourself. Definitely. So tune in again to our podcasts on Audio Boom. Look for us at Eye Opener Society. Look for us on Facebook, Eye Opener Society. Look for us on YouTube, Eye Opener Society. We're out there. Just search Eye Opener Society on, of your podcast platforms as well. We
Mm-hmm.
thank Sarah for joining in tonight. That was
Yes.
really nice to see her while she's on her vacation. Our moderator, in case anybody don't know, is just joining us. And I want everybody to have a great, wonderful time until the
Yes.
next time you tune in. And we'll let everybody know when the next podcast is out.
Yeah.
All right.
See you then.
Take care.